Welcome back. Many of us want to travel this time of year. I mean, let's face it, frankly, all of us are tired of staying at home. But what are the facts and what are the tips and tricks so that you can avoid trouble? First, you got to consider where you're going and take a look at the map. There's so many websites now which can tell you exactly what the level of COVID is in the location where you're traveling to. Next, consider the level of risk which you have for COVID. In particular, if you've got comorbidities in the way of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease, or anything else which would be considered chronic disease, always check with your doctor before considering it. And if you don't have to travel, don't do it. And then next, consider who you live with. If you live with anyone in the previous category, then I think it's very important that you consider not going or thinking twice about doing it. So now you've decided that you want to go somewhere for the holidays. How do you get there, first of all? Probably the safest is in your own personal vehicle. So you want to pick something close to home. If you have to travel by plane, you have to think hard about that in maintaining 6-foot distances, masks, and adequate hand washing. But if you are traveling by car, let's look at the practicalities of this. You need to pack enough food so you can minimize the stops that you take along the journey to your location. And that may take some creative Google mapping. Once you're there, and before you get there, choose a resort if you're gonna not stay in a singular house or bungalow, which has extended cleaning procedures, has staff security and healthcare checkup procedures, and in addition to that has contactless payment and check-in procedures. Now you're in your most amazing holiday spot. If you decide to eat, that is the place where you'll have to take your mask off, and quite possibly the highest risk, particularly if it's busy. In most cases, they're gonna have shifts or graduated seating if they're gonna have it at all. But I would say that it's best if you can eat outdoors in a well-ventilated area or do room service and stay in your own room. Now remember, when you do check into a hotel room, it's probably best to take some wipes which have Clorox bleach or taking some hand sanitizer with greater than 60% alcohol and using that to clean all the common surfaces which you may encounter. I'm sure they've done it, but let's face it, all of us are going to be a little paranoid right now. Finally, when you get there, make sure that there's some type of policy in place that if anyone does get ill, that there's a way to safely get them treated, and also ask what exactly they do to the areas where this person was staying. Now you finish your trip and you get home. Keep sure you're watching to see what type of symptoms or other things you get, knowing that if you do develop symptoms, you need to let people know. An excellent way of doing this is through the Safe Paths COVID app, or alternatively in India through the Arogya Setu app, which do a great job of monitoring the active COVID cases and also give you an idea of what's around you. Anyway, finally, I'm going to say one thing. If you don't have to travel, stay at home, do a staycation, because quite honestly, right now, there's just enough to worry about. I realize that everyone's getting a little cabin fever because it's been almost 7-8 months in lockdown. There is a light at the end of the tunnel in that there have been several vaccines which have greater than a 94 or 95% rate of protecting you against COVID, and these may be released. But when we'll get them is really the question. Until then, we still need to stay very, very resolute to our course and protect ourselves with masks, social distancing, good hand washing, hand sanitization, and avoidance of obvious risks, and do our best. So finally, I want to hear from you guys as to what precautions you're taking and the experiences you've had in this pandemic. And I want to make sure that you guys understand what the repercussions are and what can happen. Lastly, and very humbly, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today, and I'm glad we can interact like this. If you like what I'm saying, please subscribe, hit the share button, and hit the bell icon so that you can keep updated as I produce new episodes just for you. And finally, be safe in this. I'm hoping that all of us will emerge from this a little bit stronger and a little bit wiser. Take care. It's a pleasure seeing you guys. Thanks.